Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio in Atlanta, it's time for Gwinnett Chamber's monthly radio show, Open for Business, spotlighting the top chamber members in Gwinnett. Open for Business is brought to you by Farratech. Farratech, great people, remarkable service.
And welcome once again to Open for Business. I'm your host, Johnny Phelps, realtor broker with Harry Norman Realtors and the two-time Ambassador of the Year with the Gwinnett Chamber. And pleased to have my guests today. We're going to be joined by Joe Moss of Embassy National Bank, Don Poplawski, PCC Innovative Solutions, Neel Majumdar of Protiva Consulting, and Courtney Spencer with the Gwinnett Chamber. Joe Moss, you're first up. Give us a little history of Embassy National Bank.
Well, Embassy National Bank got started in 2007. They opened the doors in 2007. It was funded and capitalized by a group of very successful Asian Indians that live here in the Atlanta area, and the intent was to cater to that large and growing community here in Metro Atlanta, as well as through the Southeast. And with that strategy, we have, after a couple of missteps, we have actually become one of the very most profitable banks here in Georgia, as well as the Southeast.
How did it develop so well? I mean, there had to be some knowledge of marketing to that particular clientele that you were interested in.
Well, our board of directors has two very influential and very successful Asian Indian businessmen, Naveen Shaw and Nitin Shaw, our chairman, and they're very close to the community. They have their eyes and ears wide open, and the strategy was very, very focused from day one.
Gwinnett County has a number of local community-type banks, and Gwinnett County has a lot of the so-called big boy banks. What's that competition like for Embassy?
It's hard, and we've developed what we call, for anybody to be successful, I think whether a bank or any small business, you have to really focus on a niche and what you think you're good at. We think we understand our market very well. We think, and our niche is to try to deliver just a handful of products to that one customer niche. So we're not trying to be all things to all people. We try to do it with great customer service and turnaround, and we also try to be very efficient so that we can generate profits from that business.
Has your growth been on a level and a scale that was anticipated when the groundwork was laid in 2007?
No. No one could have anticipated what happened in this world in 07, 08, and 09. And the bank took some mixed steps, and there was a lot of work that needed to be done to clean it up, and that took us a couple of years. So we had to kind of sit back and regroup and rethink, and so the growth strategy has not been what we had thought. It's obviously lower, but if you look at us from after the cleanup was completed, which was basically 09, we've been growing at probably about 30% a year.
What about the banking industry as a whole coming out of the Great Recession?
Well, I think what you've got to do is think of two industries, not the banking industry in total. Actually, three. Let's go with three. One, you got the big banks. They're an industry within themselves. They are, I get a little negative about this, but they're quite frankly government subsidized. We know that. They got a lot of handouts as a result of the losses and mistakes that they made. And now they're living on, some of them are getting through all that. The other industry is the community banking industry. And largely, like Embassy National Bank, we're small business people. We took no government assistance at all. It was either eat or get eaten. And so we had to really go by the bootstraps and figure out how to get through the thing. And a lot of other community banks are feeling the same. And then you've got this other crowd called the fintech crowd, which are the lenders out there that lend online, and they get high rates, and they'll say they can close in 24 hours and that type of thing. And there's multiple $billion of assets generated by them. So But of all those three, I would say the community banking industry is, I think, the most healthy and the one that's growing. And I think if we all pay attention to the strength of that industry, it'll continue to thrive.
We're talking with Joe Moss of Embassy National Bank. People, you hear this on the street, Joe. Boy, it sure is hard to get a loan. Is it hard to get a loan?
It is.
Uh-huh.
It is, and I feel their pain. It's hard for me to make a loan. Mm-hmm. Going back to the community banks, for whatever reason, we're under a microscope. All of us community bankers are. I think it's because we're smaller. I think it's because a regulator and compliance people can kind of get their arms around us, and as a result, they can look at us with a fine-tooth comb. If you think about a Bank of America or a JP or Chase Morgan or something, I don't know how they audit those people. I don't know how anybody determines whether that balance sheet is real or conservatively valued. It's just too big. But in our case, I can tell you at one time this summer, I drove into the parking lot. We had more regulator and compliance people in our parking lot than we had employees at the bank.
Wow.
True story. That happens in a lot of community banks across the country.
So it strikes me that fine-tooth comb really puts your feet to the fire to make everything correct.
Yes, we have to be. I tell our board we've got to be right 99% of the time, and that's hard to live in. We also know that we make a loan. Chances are, a year later, 2 years later, we're going to get asked about it. Not only are we going to say, "Hey, why'd you make the loan?" that kind of thing, but they're going to spend 30 to 45 minutes on that loan, 2 years after the fact.
Goodness me.
So that's the kind of environment we live in, and then you got the construction industry, which I like lending to, but coming out of the Great Recession or the Depression as we had in Metro Atlanta, it was I never thought that I would make another construction loan. So and you carry that with you a little bit, and you just know that you got to be so careful on every single deal.
The restrictions that have come out of that time frame, I can't imagine how difficult it must be to understand every letter of the law in terms of. I mean, you have to, but there's so many guidelines that financial institutions have to follow.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different for the small business industry that we target, because there's not as much regulation around that as it is the consumer business. We don't focus a lot on the consumer side because of this new entity from Dodd-Frank called the CFPB, which is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. They don't report to anybody. They don't get funding. They generate their funding by penalties. And they'll go in and say, "We think we found something," and I tell you what, we'll continue to look. However, if you just want to settle this for a couple $1 million, we'll go ahead and do that. That's how they fund themselves. So when you're in that kind of environment, it's really hard to want to go into the consumer business.
This program is open for business for the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce. What's been Embassy's involvement with the Gwinnett Chamber?
Well, we're members, obviously, and we spend a lot of time talking with Gwinnett Chamber members and networking over there, and we feel like we've done a pretty good job in supporting the Gwinnett community.
How can people get in touch with you? This is your opportunity to give us your contact information for people who want to know more about Embassy National
Sure.
Bank.
Well, we've got a website, obviously, embassynationalbank.com. My name is Joe Moss. You can reach me at my direct number. How about a president of a bank telling you they can call them directly, 770-500-1271. And my email address is jmoss, M-O-S-S, @embassynationalbank.com.
Speaks volumes that the president is giving his phone number.
That's what you're dealing with a good community bank.
There you go.
I walk into my boardroom and we make the decision, and that's it.
I can't imagine what it must be like for you and your staff when those regulators appear at your front door.
It's nerve-wracking. They give you a 6-month or 3-month lead time, but you still don't know what they're going to come up with.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
Well, glad you're here, and
Thank you.
You keep answering
Thank you.
the
I'm
right
glad you
questions for
invited
'em.
me, and so.
Very good. Next, we want to hear from Dawn Poplawski at PCC Innovative Solutions. Dawn, tell us about your company and what you do.
Okay. The company is PCC Innovative Solutions, and we are debt collectors and also accounts receivable outsourcing. And we basically kind of consider us as a more of a consulting type company. PCC Innovative Solutions started, we just hit our 2-year mark.
Well, congratulations.
So we're on that. Let's make it a break. But it's been pretty successful. What we do is, again, basically focus on helping the small businesses with their debt collections. There's a lot of businesses that we find that don't know how to handle that part of it. They're good at their industry, but when it comes to collecting money, they don't know what the legalities are and what they can do and what they can't do. And like he was talking about compliance, we have to go through all that as well.
He gets it too.
Yes. And it was, you mentioned that CFPB. I was just at a downtown last week, actually, at a compliance forum down there, so I'm familiar with it.
So, see, it's not just banks. Anybody that's in the financial services business is going to have to deal with those folks.
Yeah.
Certainly. With respect to debt collection, in listening to your answer a moment ago, you mentioned debt collection, and then you said business is really good. Now, some people can take that in sort of a humorous way, but you have to be pretty careful in terms of dealing with individuals and some potentially shady outfits there.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much as far as dealing with individuals, I do collections on a consumer basis as well as commercial.
All right.
But of course, the businesses so far with me, I've been pretty much are all local owned businesses that I'm working for.
What are some of the types of businesses that you're working with?
I've got, this is a wide variety. I've got veterinarian services. I have printing companies. I have a cleaning service. A lot of property management companies are coming through now, and that's been a big one. But it ranges from every type. So even on a real retail type basis, as well as service providers. So anybody that is dealing with selling to another company or a consumer has a need for it, whether they think so or not. You could have a bounce check and realize you have a need for it.
What are
debt collection.
What are some of the most difficult cases or areas type of cases that you have to deal with?
Right now, the biggest thing is the property management companies with tenant leasing.
Okay.
There are so many tenants that will skip out on rent, and then there's also damages, and they skip out. And even though there may have been a judgment filed or a disposory to get them evicted, a lot of times they're not even in there, anymore.
Right.
So they've already skipped town. So the biggest problem is, of course, you have to wait because they have to establish, a new residency somehow, whether it be paying a bill or so forth. And when you do that research and you have to locate them. And I just had a situation where one was out of state. And so I had to hire a lawyer out of state to handle that particular case.
Well, it certainly struck me as you were explaining there that tracking them down and getting the proper time frame that might be involved and those kinds of things can really burden the issue.
Yeah. It takes a lot of time based on, what their situation was. And that's where a lot of times the clients are like, okay, how long is it going to be before I get my money? It's like,
certainly.
Well, first of all, if it's a tenant, a residential, I was like, you're at 50% chance of even getting it.
Is there a specific time frame that someone has to wait before they might contact you to search out some of these people?
Oh, no.
Okay.
They can do it from the first day it's past due.
All right.
But typically I will tell them, 90 days. It depends on the market. Again, if it's a business that's doing retail or service provider, they'll usually go 90 days because, depending on what their situation is and what they're providing, a lot of times they'll extend the time before they require their payment in full. Where when it comes to the residential, they wait too long. You shouldn't be waiting until they get 3 or 4 months behind on rent.
Certainly.
Because that so much happens.
The snowball
in that time.
the snowball just gets higher and higher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we've interviewed you before here in the studio, and what impresses me about what you do that I think you really need to iterate is that you provide consulting to a lot of these businesses so they don't get in these kind of troubles beforehand.
Exactly.
And as a banker, there's a phrase we call KYC, know your customer, and you do a lot of work helping businesses know when or when not to, quote, frankly, extend credit to these people.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think that's the biggest value you provide is up front.
Well, certainly, as in our discussion here, the debt collection brings up a lot of ideas from a lot of people, but Dawn does so much other things, and as Joe was pointing out, I want to give you an opportunity to share some of those other aspects of PCC Innovative Solutions that are part of the game there.
There is a lot you could do. I'm trying to take one at a time. But yes, the biggest thing I try to do is educate my clients, because the biggest thing is looking at their contracts, making sure they know who they're doing business with, doing the background. And there's just so much aspects as far as that goes, and what they can do to protect themselves in the front end, depending on the type of business they're in. Construction, always, find out who your general contractor is, the owner of the property, your lien laws, and you've got things out there that can help protect you and help you get paid. So, and just like with the, my new project now is, property management companies that I've had such trouble with, they've been coming out of the woodwork. So that was my next thing is, what can we do? I've just signed on a contract with TransUnion and Equifax. So now all these property management companies, property owners, anyone dealing with residential leasing can report on a monthly basis.
Sounds as if your business is growing. You've reached two years, and it sounds as if your company is growing in the right direction.
Yes, I think so. I hope so. And it's a matter of getting them to utilize it, because this was a law that passed in 2014. So it's a new thing as far as reporting these tenants. And just like your mortgage brokers, they'll report. So if you're 1 day late, it will show up on your credit report. And that can eliminate the loss from these property management companies with these people if they're more apt to know that it's going to affect their credit.
Talking to Don Poplawski of PCC Innovative Solutions. Somebody said I should ask you about PCT Advantage. What's PCT
That is PCT Advantage. That is basically the program that is named for the tenant reporting. So that's been the new concept, like I said. And we are, and it's a simple process, just for those that may be interested in something like this. When it comes to the credit bureaus, you do have to have a special software in place in order to do the type of reporting to the credit bureaus. And so basically, I handle all that for the property management companies. So a lot of them, there are minimal requirements as well. So this way, the agencies or management companies, they basically can go through me. And that way I can handle all the reporting.
You're the conduit from one side to the other.
Right. Yeah. There's just an initial setup for, the basic tenants. And then it's just a matter of getting the aging reporting on a monthly basis from the property management companies and basically transferring that through the system to the credit bureaus.
What's been your involvement with the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce?
Oh, I started with them as soon as I opened my business. And that was the best thing I ever did.
That was a jump start right from the beginning.
Yes, it was. Because my first month, I went to the Small Business Summit, and I picked up my first client.
Did you indeed?
Yeah. So just from them overhearing me talk about what I did.
Well, that was
so
the name of the game.
So, yeah, so it's been a very good plus for my business.
How can people get in touch with you, Dawn?
All right. My website, they can go to the website at www.pccis.com. And they can also reach me by phone. It's 770-605-3033. And you can also email clientsupport@pccis.com.
Very good. Dawn, thank you so much.
Sure.
Farratech is your one source for all toner suppliers, printers, copiers, and computers. Whether you need service or repair or your hardware, or you're looking to find the best price and quality on toner supplies, Farratech has a skilled and knowledgeable team to help you and your company. Contact them today to see how they can help you. They're waiting for your call at 770-582-1188. And now we welcome Neel Majumdar of Protiva Consulting, LLC. And I guess the first place to start is, what does Protiva do?
We are excuse me. We are a full-service digital marketing and technology services firm. So what that means is that we do take care of everything with respect to the digital marketing needs for small and medium businesses, right from if they want us to look at how their existing websites are doing, are they performing as per expectations, how is their social media sites doing, are they getting the kinds of traffic, the customer or prospects to visit them, are the prospects turning into leads, and are the leads converting into customers, and then are the customers coming back again and again. So we help define.
And that's
the
sort
strategy.
of the name of the game right there.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So we help them define we do the assessment, we do the strategy and planning, and then we do the execution from beginning to end.
Digital marketing is such an incredibly growing industry, and there are a number of companies at your fingertips these days. What differentiates Protiva from some of the others that might be your competition?
I'm glad you asked that question, Johnny. I think one of the fundamental differences is that we come from, when you look at digital marketing agencies, you get one of two flavors usually. They either come from more of a creative background, or they come from a pure tech shop. Mm-hmm. I think one of our unique differentiators is that a fair number of us come from the management consulting and business consulting services background. I myself, last 9 years, I was with PricewaterhouseCoopers Consulting, IBM's strategy and transformation consulting services practice, and lastly with Accenture's management consulting services practice, doing digital strategy for companies like Sony, American Express, PepsiCo, and so on. So I think one of the fundamental ways we are different is that we tie everything to measurable business results. It's just not, pretty copies, and, things like your number of likes on Facebook, great, that shows engagement. But then how is that translating into measurable business results for you? That's how we are, I think, differentiated, and we are extremely analytical about it.
People who maybe have a small business or starting a business, they're told or they know right off the bat that they need to be involved in digital marketing. If someone comes to you and really doesn't know what direction to go, what are some of the things that you start with that person and that business to get them in the right direction?
Right. And, contrary to many others, again, in the business, I start with really trying to understand the business of the client. What is the business goal? What are his business challenges, the primary business challenges? What are the target segment? What are the key target client segments? What are their pain points that he's trying to solve? And where are they at? Once I know that, then we go to, okay, what have you been trying to do so far in terms of your marketing outreach, and how has it been performing in terms of your returns versus the investment that you have been putting there. Mm-hmm. So once we get that lay of the land, we can come up with a campaign plan. if you will, that is progressive in nature. So it could be you start off with building a brand awareness. You have a website, but nobody knows about it. So so it's like having a web store. I mean, a store, but the only people who don't know about it are the people who happen to drive by and see your sign.
Best kept secret in town. Huh?
That's right. There are a lot of those that understand that.
Yeah.
Well, it seems that people who may have a computer and they've got a template that they can put together a web page, let's say,
right,
and they have a Facebook account, they think they're in the digital marketing game.
Right.
How do you take someone like that and show them how much more they can be expanded to really reach the people they need to reach?
I think one of the key ways you can show is that really you make them look at the results. One of the key things that happens there, you got varied presence on the web, on the internet, but all these disparate sites, so to say, are one thing we see all the time is that they are not. They've got very few followers. Maybe they have a Facebook page. They've got few followers, but they have a following on Facebook, but very few of them are coming onto the website and turning themselves into leads. And if you don't know who they are, you don't know how to follow up with them.
Kind of tough that way, for sure.
Yeah.
We're talking with Neel Majumdar of Protiva Consulting. I've heard you talk about content marketing.
Yeah.
How do you implement that, and exactly how that plays into the campaign for your clients?
Yeah, this is content marketing is becoming more. It's always been there, but it's becoming more and more important as the number of channels and the communication media is just exploding. 90% of the information was created in the last 18 months. So that's a huge amount of data.
That is extraordinary. That's an extraordinary fact.
Yeah, that's getting thrown at us, right? So we cannot just sit back and say that, okay, I'm going to have a search engine optimized web page. So if someone searches for me, they can find there. We got to go to the customers. We cannot just sit back and wait for them to come to us. So how you do that, and that applies to both knowledge-based, expertise-based companies and businesses, as well as straight B2C companies. They got to go and engage and showcase how they are different, and not do so in a in-your-face, hard sell kind of thing, but give people a reason to trust you, a reason to engage with you. Give them something valuable. Give them the 5 top tips in the industry. Five ways they can save. A small business can save money. Those are things that where you are not really trying to hard sell, and they come to rely on you as a trusted brand. And once the trust is established, just like in the chamber,
certainly, exactly,
the sales process becomes a lot easier.
What's been your involvement with the chamber? What have you seen from that?
I'm a new member in the chamber, and so far I would say that the engagement has been extremely positive, especially with people like Courtney, revving up the energy level.
That's
right?
Exactly right.
At the chamber, I have found it to be very engaging. It gives me just a huge size of the chamber and the variety of businesses. I think that's very helpful for people like us.
If I could interject, you went through your resume. That's a very, very impressive resume. The firms that he has gotten experience from are the best at what this whole media, social marketing is. What you're saying is so true. I mean, if you've just got the Facebook page and the website, you're probably 10 years behind at this point.
Yep.
And this whole technology content thing moves so quickly. You really do have, and as you say, stay on the front of it and use it proactively and help educate the customer and develop that relationship. Absolutely. I think you're right on with what you're saying.
Thank you.
Neel, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, they can always go to my website, www.protivaconsulting.com. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I posted a blog just yesterday about Samsung coming up with a cool refrigerator, which is a family hub, where you can, everything is online, is a display screen and all that. And you, instead of posting sticky notes, you can set it up.
You got a touch screen
right
exactly,
touch screen there. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. I've got a Twitter account as well, Protiva_info. And then I have a phone. Of course, they can reach me all the time by phone, 404-220-8087.
Very good. Neel Majumdar, thank you so much. Courtney Spencer, Gwinnett Chamber. What's on the docket?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, if you see my amazing, folks over on the radio, you can see my my Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, absolutely.
YouTube, take a look at my Minnie Mouse ears that I have on right now. We just left our spooktacular Gwinnett Working. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what Gwinnett Working is, it is a 2-day awesome networking experience that we offer our members, and guests are definitely invited to come. A leads generating group where we just really try to build relationships. And so our spooktacular Gwinnett Working was an opportunity for us to kind of loosen up a little bit and still do business, but at the same time wear our Halloween costumes and show our awesome team spirit. Oh gosh,
they were extraordinary.
You should have.
You either have to go. You have to go all in or nothing at all.
People were all in.
They were all in. We had a winner, and the winner of the costume contest actually won a $50 gift card.
Wow.
And so actually Neel was one of the finalists.
Neel was a finalist.
He was cowboy.
What did you dress as?
Howdy, Joe.
Joe, he was a cowboy.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Good for you.
The winners actually
Embrace the culture.
Absolutely.
I was a cowboy and the Indian. As Johnny said.
We actually had the winner was actually it was a team. They were a team. Melissa Jackson with Neo Post and Cliff Tillery with Make It Loud. They were the Walking Dead. Melissa had a huge tear on her face. It was disgusting,
wow.
But she looked great. I mean, they looked great. And Cliff had a big bat with barbed wire around it. Just lets you know that
it was authentic looking.
It was very authentic.
What are some of the big costumes this year?
Well, we had a bride. She was a bride. There was another young lady. She was a bride. Of course, we had cowboy. We had Wonder Woman made an appearance.
Wow.
Our staff participated as well. We had Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Cyndi Lauper. We had Big Pumpkin. It was great. We had a great time today.
Wicked Witch of the West made an appearance.
Yes.
Good.
I mean, it was really great. So.
All right, that's spectacular. The spooktacular was extraordinary. You got some special times with Business After Hours coming up in the next couple of months.
Absolutely, yes. November 17th is our next Business After Hours, and we always have a great time. In the month of October, we were at Hudgens Center for the Arts right after Pinnacle and Summit and everything. And so we had a great time for that. And so in November 17th, we'll be at Medieval Times. Oh. And so, yes. So it's going to be really great because they've scheduled a show directly following Business After Hours at 7 o'clock. So chamber members and guests, if you sign up ahead of time, you'll definitely get a humongous discount.
Very good.
To the show.
Wow.
So make sure you sign up online.
I've never seen that show, but I've heard it's great.
It's pretty extraordinary.
This will actually be my first time.
It's a fun evening. It really is.
I've always wanted to go. What was that movie, Cable Guy? I think where yeah.
We're getting nods in the background.
Cable Guy. There was a great scene from Medieval Times, and in there, shouts out to Jim Carrey.
And then we close out Business After Hours in December.
Absolutely, December 15th. Of course, every year we go to Atlanta Classic Cars, and we do a great partnership with Toys for Tots, and we gather toys for children during that time. So that will be a great time at Atlanta Classic Cars.
Tell us how people can get in touch with you, Courtney.
Absolutely, you can reach me via email at cspencer@gwinnettchamber.org, or you can call me at 770-232-8805.
Courtney, thank you as always. Let me go through our guests one more time for contact information. Joe, people can reach you in what best fashion?
The best way to get in touch with me is email.
Okay.
jmoss, MOSS, @EmbassyNationalBank.com. gwinnett.com.
Very good. Don Poplawski, best way to reach you.
Yeah, email is probably the best way as well because I'm on the phone a lot.
What's your email address?
The easiest one is to remember is client support at pccis.com because otherwise it's D. Poplawski and people don't
Client
even
support
want to
probably
try
works
it.
better. Okay, very good. And Neel, the best way to reach you?
I think that would be the same for me. Email is info at protivaconsulting.com, PROTIVA consulting.com, info at protivaconsulting.com.
I thank you all for being here, making this a wonderfully informative show today. Thank you for joining us on Open for Business, brought to you by Farratech. Farratech, great people, remarkable service. Remember, we broadcast live on the fourth Friday of every month at 11:30 in the morning. You can listen to any of our shows by visiting GwinnettBusinessRadio.com. All of our shows are available on iTunes. And I would point out that today is our final show from our Satellite Place studio location. Business Radio X is going to be moving and be coming to you from the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Hotel. Congratulations to Mike Salmon and the Business Radio X team on the move and for being the Business of the Month for the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce as well. Until next time, I'm Johnny Phelps, Harry Norman Realtors. Thanks for being there.